Hello, everyone. She was Brazil's other storm, arriving just after Giselle, but carving her own path entirely. Fernanda Tavares had a face like sunlit bronze and a walk that could make a runway feel like the edge of the earth. She carried the ease of the tropics, yet the discipline of a seasoned professional far beyond her years. From the beaches of Natal to the catwalks of Paris, she rose in a wave of Brazilian supermodels who redefined beauty in the late 90s. But Fernanda was not simply part of a trend, she was a force of her own. Behind the glowing skin and confident stride lay a quiet resilience, shaped by a childhood far removed from the glamour she would one day command. This is the story of a woman who brought the ocean's calm and its power to the heart of fashion. Fernanda Tavares was born on September 22, 1980 in Natal, a coastal city in the northeastern Brazilian state of Rio Grande do Norte. Natal is known for its golden dunes, turquoise waters, and a rhythm of life dictated by the tides. It was a place steeped in sun and salt air, where beauty was natural and unpretentious. Fernanda grew up in a close-knit family that valued hard work and humility. Her parents encouraged education and a grounded sense of self, instilling in her the belief that character mattered more than appearances. As a child, she loved the outdoors, running barefoot along the beach, swimming in the warm Atlantic waters, and exploring the sand dunes that seemed endless to her young eyes. She was tall early on, her long limbs and striking features setting her apart from her peers. Friends and neighbors would often remark on her beauty, but Fernanda herself was shy about such comments. She preferred to spend her time playing volleyball on the beach or helping her mother with family meals rather than thinking about fashion. Natal was far from the high fashion capitals, and modeling seemed like a distant, almost impossible dream. Yet, the city was not without its local events and beauty contests. And it was during her teenage years that Fernanda's path toward modeling began to take shape. At just 13, she entered a local modeling contest, encouraged by friends who saw in her a natural grace and poise. She won. That victory led to more local competitions. And soon, she was traveling to São Paulo, Brazil's fashion hub, for bigger opportunities. The transition from the laid-back life of Natal to the fast-paced energy of São Paulo was jarring. But Fernanda adapted quickly. Her upbringing in a supportive family gave her a quiet confidence. She knew where she came from, and she carried that grounding into every new space she entered. Even as she began to attract the attention of top agencies, she remained deeply connected to her roots, returning home to Natal whenever she could, recharging with the simple joys of ocean air and family gatherings. This foundation would prove crucial later, as she navigated the complexities of an industry that could be both exhilarating and ruthless. Fernanda's childhood had given her more than beauty. It had given her resilience, humility, and a deep sense of identity. The girl who once roamed the beaches of Natal barefoot was about to walk some of the most prestigious runways in the world. Fernanda Tavares' entry into the world of fashion was less of a slow climb and more of a sudden, unstoppable current. After her early success in local modeling contests in Natal, the pivotal moment came when she participated in the Elite Model Look Brazil competition. She was just 13 years old, younger and less experienced than many of the contestants, but her natural presence and distinctive look caught the attention of scouts immediately. Winning the national round earned her a place at the Elite Model Look International contest in Nice, France. There, she was thrust into an arena filled with aspiring models from all over the globe, each vying for a coveted spot in the competitive modeling world. While she did not win the top international title, Fernanda made a lasting impression on industry insiders. Her tall, athletic frame, luminous skin, and confident but unforced demeanor stood out in a sea of polished beauty. By 14, she had signed with Elite Model Management in São Paulo. And not long after, she was booked for her first major campaigns in Brazil. The transition from local contests to professional shoots was daunting. She was learning to navigate fittings, long hours, and the precise demands of photographers and stylists, all while balancing schoolwork and life as a teenager. Her first trip to Paris was transformative. She was just 15 when she stepped into the city's historic fashion houses, meeting casting directors who could make or break careers with a single decision. At her very first Paris casting, Fernanda walked with the same natural ease she had on the beaches of Natal, her stride long, her shoulders relaxed, her gaze steady. That authenticity was magnetic. Within weeks, she was walking for Jean-Paul Gaultier and Chanel. The late 1990s were a golden period for Brazilian models. Gisele Bündchen was storming the industry, and Fernanda was quickly positioned alongside her as part of this new wave of South American beauty that was both exotic and approachable. Yet Fernanda was careful not to become a carbon copy of anyone else. Her style was less about the fiery sensuality often associated with Brazilian models, and more about a cool, understated sophistication. Her career accelerated rapidly. In New York, she booked shoots for Sports Illustrated, gaining international visibility, and soon after, she landed campaigns for Victoria's Secret. Photographers admired her ability to shift effortlessly between editorial high fashion and the more commercial warmth required for lingerie and swimwear. That versatility made her a favorite not only among designers, but also among casting directors who needed models capable of telling a story through a single frame. Behind the scenes, Fernanda faced the challenges that came with starting young in a demanding industry. She was living far from home, surrounded by intense competition, and expected to perform at a professional level well before adulthood. The travel schedule was relentless: Paris 1 week, New York the next, Milan just after. Homesickness was inevitable, but her grounded upbringing gave her the strength to push through. Fernanda's breakthrough moment came when she was chosen for a high-profile campaign for Versace, shot by legendary photographer Steven Meisel. The images captured her as both powerful and graceful qualities that became her signature. From that point on, her name was firmly entrenched in the global fashion conversation. Her rise was meteoric, but it was also deliberate. Fernanda understood early on that modeling was as much about strategy as it was about beauty. She maintained relationships with top designers and photographers, choosing projects that aligned with her long-term vision rather than chasing every opportunity. This focus would help her achieve a level of longevity rare in the fast turnover world of modeling. The girl from Natal had made it. She was now sharing runways with the world's most famous models and appearing in campaigns that would define the era. But Fernanda was just getting started. The world was about to see her in full stride. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, Fernanda Tavares was no longer the promising newcomer from Brazil. She was a dominant presence on the global stage. Her walk had become instantly recognizable, a confident stride with a subtle sway, the kind that drew the eye without demanding it. She had mastered the art of balance, the ability to exude both power and softness, elegance and approachability. In Paris, she became a fixture at the most prestigious shows. Jean-Paul Gaultier adored her theatrical versatility, dressing her in avant-garde creations that she wore as if they were second skin. Chanel welcomed her refined poise, letting her bring a timeless elegance to Karl Lagerfeld's collections. In Milan, she worked the runways for Versace, Dolce & Gabbana, and Valentino, bringing a Mediterranean heat to their sensual designs. Her beauty campaigns were equally iconic. Fernanda's face graced advertisements for L'Oreal, Revlon, and Clarins, each highlighting a different facet of her appeal, from sun-kissed vitality to red carpet sophistication. Editorially, she became a frequent muse for Vogue, appearing in multiple international editions. Fashion editors praised her adaptability. She could be the high fashion goddess in black and white spreads 1 month, and the beachside siren for Sports Illustrated the next. One of her most celebrated achievements came when she became a regular for Victoria's Secret. While the brand was known for its emphasis on glamour and sensuality, Fernanda brought a unique energy. She was warm and confident, without crossing into overstatement. Fans noted how she seemed to genuinely enjoy herself on the runway, exchanging knowing glances with the audience and fellow models, making each appearance feel like a shared celebration rather than a stage performance. Beyond the runway and campaigns, Fernanda's personality made her a favorite among designers and photographers. She was professional, punctual, and possessed a rare humility despite her rising fame. Colleagues often remarked that she treated everyone from makeup artists to creative directors with the same respect. This grace under pressure not only endeared her to the industry, but also ensured a steady stream of high-profile work. By the early 2000s, Fernanda had joined the ranks of the most recognizable models of her generation. She was photographed alongside Naomi Campbell, Gisele Bündchen, and Heidi Klum, holding her own in the company of icons. Her name became synonymous with the new wave of Brazilian supermodels. Yet she retained a distinctive voice within that movement, less about fiery seduction, more about effortless allure. In every city, at every show, Fernanda Tavares brought with her a reminder of where she came from. Beneath the couture gowns and intricate makeup was still the girl from Natal, walking with the grounded confidence of someone who knew exactly who she was. In an industry obsessed with constant reinvention and the next big thing, Fernanda Tavares stood out by doing the opposite. She stayed true to herself. While other models bent to every trend or altered their image to fit the latest designer vision, Fernanda maintained a consistent identity that felt authentic. She was known for refusing work that did not align with her values. In an era when overtly provocative imagery was common, she drew clear boundaries about the kind of sensuality she was willing to portray. Her allure came not from shock value, but from the confidence of knowing her own limits. Photographers often remarked that Fernanda could make even the most minimal styling look compelling because her presence did the work. She also resisted the pressure to conform to the extreme body standards of the late 90s fashion world. While many models pursued unhealthy extremes to maintain ultra-thin figures, Fernanda embraced her athletic, naturally toned body. She credited her active lifestyle and upbringing in Natal, where sports and outdoor activity were a normal part of daily life. This decision, though it risked alienating some clients, won her admiration from others who valued a healthier, more realistic representation of beauty. Perhaps her most significant rebellion was her choice to prioritize life beyond modeling at a time when she was at her peak. Many in the industry expected her to extend her fame indefinitely, but Fernanda understood that constant exposure could lead to burnout. She intentionally took breaks, stepping back from the relentless cycle of fashion weeks and campaigns to spend time with family and focus on personal projects. This move puzzled some, but it preserved both her well-being and her long-term appeal. Fernanda also used her platform to speak about the realities of modeling the long hours, the travel exhaustion, and the pressure young girls face in the business. Without sensationalizing, she was candid about the discipline required and the importance of maintaining self-worth in an environment where one's value is often tied to appearance. Her refusal to mold herself to the industry's expectations became part of her legend. She was proof that a model could command respect without sacrificing authenticity. Designers trusted her, not just because she could sell clothes, but because she embodied a kind of beauty that was not manufactured. It was rooted in self-assurance and individuality. In the fashion world's ever-changing tide, Fernanda Tavares remained an anchor, showing that sometimes the most radical thing a model can do is simply stay herself. For Fernanda Tavares, the decision to step away from the limelight was not triggered by a scandal or a single dramatic downfall, but by a gradual shift in priorities and a quiet recognition of what truly mattered to her. By the mid-2000s, she had already spent over a decade navigating the relentless pace of the modeling world, the constant travel, the weeks without a proper home base, and the pressure to remain camera-ready at all times began to wear on her. Around this time, Fernanda began speaking more openly about wanting balance. She had always been fiercely private, preferring her work to speak for itself rather than her personal life. But in interviews, she hinted at a longing for a slower rhythm, for time to be spent not in airports and backstage dressing rooms, but with the people she loved. She married Brazilian actor Murilo Rosa in 2007, and the couple soon started a family. Motherhood changed her perspective entirely. While offers from major fashion houses continued to arrive, Fernanda turned many of them down, unwilling to compromise the stability she wanted for her children. It was an unusual move in an industry where many cling to relevance for as long as possible. But for Fernanda, it was simple family came first. Her reduced public presence led some to speculate about her disappearance from the fashion scene. In reality, she had simply chosen a quieter life. She still appeared occasionally for select shows and campaigns. But these were deliberate, rare choices, moments where she felt inspired rather than obligated. Of course, stepping back came with its challenges. In a business that thrives on constant visibility, long absences can lead to being forgotten. Younger models took center stage, and the industry moved forward quickly, as it always does. Yet Fernanda never seemed bitter about it. She knew the cycle and had accepted that her time at the very top was a chapter, not the entire story. Occasionally, she faced criticism from those who believed she could have leveraged her fame into an even greater empire launching brands, pursuing acting, or expanding her global profile. But Fernanda resisted the idea that success had to mean endless expansion. For her, success was the freedom to choose how and when she worked, and to live a life that felt full beyond the spotlight. The once ubiquitous face on runways and magazine covers had stepped into a different role, that of a woman defining her own pace, far from the noise of the industry. It was not the ending most people expect from a supermodel story, but for Fernanda Tavares, it was exactly the one she wanted. Fernanda Tavares, may have stepped away from the front lines of fashion, but her presence still lingers in the industry's memory. She represents a kind of beauty that was never forced, a blend of elegance, athleticism, and authenticity that made her instantly recognizable without ever being overexposed. Her career is a reminder that true influence is not measured by how long you stay in the spotlight, but by the mark you leave when you are gone. For the Brazilian generation of the late 90s and early 2000s, Fernanda stood alongside Giselle, Adriana, and Ana as proof that models from their country could dominate the most competitive markets in the world. Yet she carved her own lane, never trying to be anyone else, never chasing fame for fame's sake. Her refusal to conform, whether to unhealthy body ideals, to the industry's non-stop grind, or to the expectation that beauty must come with compromise, makes her story timeless. In a world still obsessed with perfection, she remains proof that individuality and self-respect are the most powerful statements a model can make. Perhaps that is why, even after years away from the runway, images of Fernanda still circulate, inspiring new faces to enter the industry on their own terms. Maybe her choice to step away was not a disappearance at all. Maybe it was the ultimate act of control, leaving before the industry could decide for her.